Public relations has many functions. Today we get to talk about what public relations means in politics, in media, the press, specifically public information and public affairs. Within public affairs, politics, and public information, there are different kinds of aspects that go along with that, including two-way communication between media and the press and the organization's consumers, such as a Republican or Democratic Party affiliate. And they just seem to have this communication between the two of them that helps maintain and relate to their everyday life. And there are a few examples that you'll see today.
So the first example is the press secretary. The goal is informing the constituents about all activities of the Senate, ensuring the awareness of their rights and duties, encouraging them to act under obligation, serving as the bridge between the government and the citizen, managing information internally, and facilitating media relations. And then she's going to give you an example of the White House.
So the White House press secretary is the senior White House official whose primary responsibility is to act as spokesperson for the executive branch of the United States government administration, especially with regard to the president, senior executives, and policies.
Ready? Okay, here we go. Okay,
Ready?
how you doing?
Great.
As another example of a PR is lobbying, and as a senator, I use these tactics to persuade the public in using their vote in order to create a good image in that company's interests.
So the skills you need to work with public affairs and politics are actually very similar to working in public relations. You need to have a really good interest in politics and how politics affect people in the United States, and actually having a good understanding of politics allows you to give really good political advice and information to different people and your clients. And you can gain knowledge through your own personal research on politics and just basically keeping up in what's going on in the media. And it's also really good to have good writing skills, so you can do press releases and can understand how to make good writing and to make it persuasive.
Here are a few video examples of how public affairs is correctly and incorrectly used in the media.
I'm Sean Cassidy. I'm the president of DKC, and I've been with the company for 21 years. Public relations is critically important to a brand in today's world. It's all about repetition of the name, it's all about social media, and it's all about two-way conversations.
As a consumer, when you see something about a brand in the newspaper or on the Today Show or in your favorite magazine, it means more, it has more credibility than it does if you see it in advertisements.
If you think about the last time you made a purchase or you visited a destination, you were probably influenced by something that you read or saw.
What I love about DKC is that it's actually very eclectic in the kind of work that we do, whether it's tech companies or whether it's real estate or whether it's film. We have such a broad array of clients that we actually are required to think differently about the things that we do.
The creativity of the staff of DKC is unmatched.
Everybody at this agency has a creative spirit, they're dynamic, and they know news. And that's our job. We come into work every day needing to know what the news is and how our clients fit into that news cycle.
We see ourselves as wonderful storytellers within the context of our clients' business needs.
Any number of the great brands that we've worked with where we've really had a hand in building their stories over time.
The future for DKC is extraordinarily bright. In the last 3 years alone, we've grown 45%, opening offices in Chicago, Los Angeles, Albany, New York, and Washington, D.C. We've expanded into the government affairs arena. We started a new service line called DKC Insight, which is a full-service event production company. And I just see, as public relations continues to be the driver of brand communications, I think the future couldn't be brighter.
The Gulf spill is a tragedy that never should have happened.
In the battle to win hearts and minds, BP's newest ad appears to be winning few converts.
I'm Tony Hayward. BP has taken full responsibility for cleaning up the spill in the Gulf.
Despite an expensive multimedia campaign, public relations experts say BP's image remains that of a big, faceless corporation.
Right off the bat, they failed to manage the pictures.
Gene Grabowski is senior vice president at one of the leading crisis management firms in Washington.
We didn't see faces of BP employees working on the ships to control the spill. We didn't see BP employees in the war room. We didn't see the CEO, Tony Hayward, with his sleeves rolled up in a war room, walking his team through the process. As a matter of fact, Tony Hayward didn't take his coat off until probably the 6th or 7th week into the crisis.
The commercials are the first of many BP plans to air in coming weeks. The oil giant confirms it's also purchased internet search terms on Google and Yahoo, so inquiries are directed first to the BP website. President Barack Obama has been critical of BP's public relations campaign.
What I don't want to hear is when they're spending that kind of money on their shareholders and spending that kind of money on TV advertising, that they're nickel and diming fishermen or small businesses here in the Gulf who are having a hard time.
But even the president, who has visited the Gulf Coast 3 times since the crisis began, is getting poor grades.
He's been down there, to my knowledge, twice, but I don't think he's really done that much.
Despite efforts by some organizations to boycott BP gasoline stations, consumers don't appear to be punishing BP. People who spoke with VOA say price still determines where they buy their gas. This woman says boycotting BP achieves nothing.
Should we boycott BP and then expect them to pay for everything?
But sentiments could change as the crisis deepens.
I think BP has to find a path forward, show us what that path is, stop apologizing, stop blaming, and start doing.
Despite BP's efforts to contain the leak, experts say oil will likely spew into the Gulf for at least 2 more months until relief wells can be drilled. In the meantime, oil continues to spread into the fragile coastline, threatening livelihoods and wildlife in the region. Milar Sega, VOA News.
A league in limbo. Another critical court decision is looming for the NFL, its players and fans. It could save the 2011 season and all of the money and jobs that go with it. KFOX 14 reporter Scott McFarland has been covering the NFL labor dispute since it began, and he has late details tonight from our exclusive Washington bureau.
John, we're told the next pivotal court decision could come as early as tomorrow, 4 p.m. The same judge who ordered the NFL to stop the lockout and open the field back up again will decide whether the league should remain open.
An odd day for America's most popular sport. After a 45-day shutdown, the NFL lockout technically was over. Players showed up at team facilities, but in some cases weren't allowed to do anything and quickly left. NFL teams held press conferences, but said precious little.
I can't answer the result of the decision yesterday. At some point, we'll play.
24 hours after Judge Susan Nelson's blockbuster ruling that the league must reopen for business, the ball is figuratively back in her hands, because the league has appealed her decision and asked the judge to reimpose the lockout until all appeals are heard by a separate court. And sources tell us she'll likely rule on that appeal late tomorrow afternoon or Thursday morning. If neither she nor an appeals court overturns that landmark ruling, though, the NFL season, summer training camp, all of it will start, and team facilities will open, which would be crucial, not just for fans, but for the local economy, says Matt Friedman, a public relations executive who served as a consultant for sports teams. We spoke via Skype.
Municipalities and states know that around the country,
They need these games more than ever before because of the economic situation. But if this thing is prolonged, it could be the worst PR disaster for a sports league ever.
It seems NFL fans are now playing a role in this dispute. In her ruling, Judge Nelson says one reason she ruled that way is because playing football is, quote, in the public interest, and that fans might be harmed if the lockout were to continue. Scott McFarland, KFOX 14, News at 9.
These are examples and functions of public relations on the aspect of public affairs, public information, and politics all describe how constituents, community members, and the press get their information and communicate with each other so that way they can get the best information across.